Don't let your opponent call it a comeback. So, what's the solution? How can you prevent this from happening to you? Well, it's pretty simple. Just follow these 2 steps and you should notice a pretty sizable difference in both confidence and closeouts. Mental method number 1. Keep your foot on the gas. You don't want to look too far ahead. All right? The problem is that once players get on a roll, they become unfocused and start to go away from what got them the lead in the first place. Sound familiar? They're not playing the match point by point anymore. They're often unintentionally starting to think about the victory and the many accolades and things that come along with it. Okay, so instead of upping the pressure and putting the foot on the throat of the opponent to finish them off, you may have found yourself relaxing and taking a step back. You get lazy. Instead of taking control and initiating the knockout blow, you're sitting there waiting for them to miss instead. And when that happens, 1, your technique dips, and 2, you don't punch your shots as accurately. Oh, and when your opponent sees this, you would have just awoken the monster. Okay, he's going to gain confidence. And once that happens, you're going to find yourself in a heck of a dogfight. And with each point in each game that you lose after that, you're going to find yourself becoming more and more unraveled with each game. Because you'll be playing with a mind and a body full of anxiety. And you'll end up scrambling. So keep your head in the game. When you're playing well and you jump out to a big lead, like 5-2 or 5-1, don't say you got this, okay? Continue to execute what got you there. Great strategy and competitive fire all the way down to the last point. Now, you might say, okay, cool. Now I know I need to keep at it for, like they would say in the NBA, for the full 48 minutes. But how? Good question. A great way to make sure that you keep the heat on your opponent without letting up is by turning each game into a mini match. That's right, condense it and make it smaller. I mean, the match is the be-all and end-all, right? The ultimate prize. I mean, you'll do absolutely anything and everything to get that done. So, for example, you're in the deciding game, when you want to close it out, what are you saying to yourself? It's time to buckle down and really get serious, right? Yeah, you want to end this thing. You don't want to play around. Well, once you associate winning each game with the ultimate prize, okay, with the be-all and end-all type of mentality, you'll automatically infuse the same type of championship enthusiasm. And your intensity will immediately shoot through the roof. You see, the reason it'll be easier to stay aggressive and on point is because your goals are now much closer together. You won't have to go as long and have those long lapses without the feeling of accomplishment or victory. Each one of these will only be essentially a few moments or a few strokes away. Because the truth is, we want to be rewarded, right? Of course, we as players and as humans are spoiled, deep down to our core. We want to be rewarded for the good things we do. And when you're playing point after point after point after point after point after point, at times we can get a little impatient, and end up unconsciously shutting things down a little too soon if we don't get it. That's why we as players begin doing things like looking towards our box or our coach or our supporters, friends, to make sure we're doing the right stuff. Or prematurely visualizing ourselves on the podium already holding the trophy, among a host of other things. You see, the thing is, we desperately want to feel that push. But now, with this mini match mentality, you'll get that hunger. Okay, you'll get that rush or that push a lot more often. Or like Taco Bell says, you will be feeding the beast. Because now, instead of it happening once every hour, now you get to experience that feeling or that reward once every few minutes. Okay, that keeps you hungry. You can see light at the end of the tunnel because the tunnel is much shorter. Make sense? It keeps you satisfied and it keeps you going. Once you see those positive results, you want to keep pushing, you want to keep going, you want to try harder, but if you don't see it and you see no light at the end of the tunnel and the tunnel's miles and miles and miles or hours and hours long, right? It's not going to do you any good. And you can't do that if you want to win consistently. If you think about it, it's a lot like your body's metabolism. The less you feed your body, the less energy you have, and the lower the level of your performance tends to be. The body is saying, hey, I don't have to work. There are no calories to burn. And that's how you get fat. A definite unwanted result for most. But on the other hand, when you feed it on a regular basis, the body is expecting to work, and you've given it a reason and the fuel to do so. Get it? Mental method number 2. Think positively. You see, when players are really smashing their opponents and everything is going quote-unquote perfectly out there, they can, kind of lose it if they make a couple of mistakes. They suddenly start to feel like everything is crumbling all around them. No errors to a couple of consecutive ones back to back can a lot of times put a huge cramp in your winning mindset. Okay? So don't let a couple of hiccups make you throw up everything. Okay? If your mind is filled with negative thoughts, the self-fulfilling prophecy will take over. And what you feared happening will end up happening. For example, if you're sitting there hanging on to that one bad point that you played earlier on in the match, all that does is help your opponent even more, which can easily lead to more bad points played on your behalf. Okay? And this horrible cycle will go round and round and round and continue to haunt you until the match is over, unless you stop it early. Okay? You have to let points go. Singles is a one-on-one sport. Okay? You don't need 2 people beating you up out there. That's unfair and illegal. And hey, just do the math. If you're playing a best out of 3 set match and you win every point, you've got a minimum of 12 games. That's 48 points to win. And since that's 99.97% impossible, you're probably going to have to play and win a lot more than that. So 1 versus 100. Which should you be more concerned with? Harping on one bad point can easily cause you to botch up the other 99. Forget the mind games. Logically, it's not worth it. Mathematically either. So instead, you should be saying to yourself what you've done correctly after the point is completed. Okay? Even if it's a point that you weren't as successful on as you would have liked to be. Make this type of positive thinking a habit, and the difference in your game will be extreme. All right? Now, you might say, I don't know about these 2 methods. I don't know if they'll work. Try them out. Okay, that's the only way that you're going to know for sure, and I bet you're going to be incredibly pleased with the results. So just try out these 2 mental methods, all right? And you should become much more calm when you see the end of the game, or better yet, the match in sight. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for our next video tip, and have a great day and an even better game. Visit tennismindcamp.com for more tips, tricks, and strategies. See you later.